Okay, I apologize for technical difficulties. We're back here again. I'll edit all this stuff. Anywho, my name is Black Mob. This is Explain That. I am here with Maxime Bernier. If you guys couldn't remember, back in October, Maxime promised that he'd be back once an election is kicked off. And here we are. And today, Maxime Bernier is with us again. And we're here to, talk about the things that progressed over the last little bit. And, since we've been here together, Mr. Trudeau, Prime Minister Trudeau, has stepped down for the good or the bad. We'll let you guys decide. And we have a new interim Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Now, I know we said earlier that, you were in the private sector, so for 19 years in Montreal, and you spent some time in Ottawa. What have you ever encountered him before, Mr. Carney?
Yeah, actually, when he was the governor of the Bank of Canada,
yes,
I was an MP at that time, and I did question him on the inflation target. As you know, the Bank of Canada has an inflation target, and every year they tell us that they want to have inflation. Mm-hmm. Sorry, for me, inflation is not good. 20% inflation is bad. 2% inflation is bad.
Absolutely.
You are losing your purchasing power.
Yes.
So we had a discussion about the inflation targets of the Bank of Canada, and you can see that video on YouTube. So I was not, happy with the monetary policy of the Bank of Canada at that time. I'm still not happy with the monetary policy in Canada. So I knew him at that time. And I know that Carney is the, globalist in chief. He was the special envoy for the UN on climate action and finance. He believes in climate change, that there's a big emergency there. He is a globalist and he's part of the elites. Mm-hmm. He did work with the World Economic Forum. So Carney is the opposite of myself. I'm fighting for Canadians, for our sovereignty.
Yes.
And
so what do you
he's
say
a globalist.
So what do you say to Canadians who will say, "Oh, Mr. Bernier, you sound like a conspiracy theorist with all these things that you're talking about, the globalist and climate change denial." How do you counteract this?
I'm just telling them the truth. First, CO2, when I'm speaking about climate change, for these climate alarmist people, they think that CO2 is a pollutant. It is not. It is a gas essential for life.
Yes.
It is food for plants. Yes. So I'm telling them the truth. So we don't need to fight climate change, and the climate is not our enemy. The climate is always changing. I'm not saying that the climate is not changing. Mm-hmm. The climate is always changing, but there's no climate emergency. Yeah. So for us, as a political party, we won't do anything to change the climate, and the planet is not in danger because of climate change.
A lot of people can't grasp their mind around it. They've been indoctrinated over the years. It's very hard to understand that concept if you've been in the mainstream, your whole life.
Absolutely, you're right. But more and more people are listening to podcasts like you, and they are taking their news outside the mainstream media. That's a good news. And if you look at what they told us, in the 1970s, that was supposed to be a big hot waves here in North America. That did not happen. Everything that they told us, just look at the old news. Mm-hmm. Everything that they told us about the climate was not true.
I remember when I was growing up, they used to tell us there's a big hole in the ozone layer.
Yeah.
And here we are. We've never heard about it since.
Oh yeah.
We haven't seen proof of it as well. Okay, so the Liberals replaced Trudeau with somebody who's probably even worse for the country.
Oh yeah.
Now, what do you say to people who say that a vote for the PPC is a vote for the Liberals?
When they're saying that, actually, that's the conservatives who are saying that. They think that they own your vote. They think that you must vote for the conservative. And by saying that, that we are splitting the vote, there's no such thing as splitting the vote. Because, yeah, for example, if you have an apple and you split an apple in two pieces, you'll have two pieces of an apple.
Yeah.
Our policies are so different than the conservative. We're not the same.
Yeah.
On climate change.
Yes.
Poilievre is okay to fight climate change and put more regulations and business and regulations on businesses. He's okay with the Paris Accord. We will withdraw from the Paris Accord. On the war in Ukraine, he's pro-war. We are pro-peace. On the mass immigration, he's pro-mass immigration. We are pro-moratorium on immigration. I can go on and on and on.
When
A
you
lot
say
of policies.
the moratorium on immigration, do you mean like until there is a plan put in place?
A moratorium for a couple of years.
Yes.
Until we solve the problems and the challenges caused by mass immigration, like housing crisis. It's a question of supply and demand. The demand is very high, and we cannot, the supply cannot respond to the demand. So we need to stop that. The immigration is pushing prices high for houses in big cities and also small towns. So first, that's having an impact also on our standard of living. Actually, the last 10 years, our standard of living didn't grow. Our purchasing power didn't grow because of mass immigration. People are saying, when you have more people, you'll have more economic growth. Yes, but the growth of the population is faster than the growth of the economy. So the GDP is growing, but the GDP per capita is not growing.
Right.
So, the economic pie is growing, but our slice of the pie is smaller.
Right.
So we are poor because of mass immigration, and also our social fabric of this country is changing too fast. We don't have time to integrate these people to our society. And, some of them are not speaking English or are not speaking French. They cannot integrate into our society. Just stop that. And with the economic situation here in Canada right now, it's very difficult for Canadians to have a job. Why having, more people coming here? And what they did, what Poilievre and Trudeau and Carney did, they opened our doors to foreigners to be sure that big business will be able to have cheap labor. That was cheap labor for me, and that's not the solution. If a business is not able to find somebody, they must maybe give a better offer, raising the salary offer, and if not, investing in robotic or more, being more productive. So cheap labor is not the solution for our country. And actually, it is not helping Canadians. So Carney and Poilievre are saying we need to build more houses in Canada. But they're saying that not to help Canadians because they want to have more people, more foreigners coming to our country.
For cheap labor.
And for cheap labor, and they want these people to be able to have a house. So they don't want to build houses to solve the housing crisis for Canadians. They are building houses for foreigners and for more foreigners to come to our country. We won't do that.
Now, HBC, Hudson Bay Company, recently faltered.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel? This is a national historical business that's been in our country forever.
Yeah.
And due to the times, it's gone.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
It's sad. It is sad. And that is showing us that we may be in a recession now. And, Carney and Poilievre are ready to kill our economy with tariffs, more tariffs. A tariff
Against whom?
Against Trump. But when they are imposing tariffs, we are paying, we Canadians, these tariffs.
Absolutely.
It is a tax on us. So 25% more tax for everything that we are importing from the U.S. it's crazy. The inflation is high. People are losing their jobs, and taxes are very high, and they are adding another 25% tax on everything that we import from the U.S. And they are telling us we are doing that for your good. We are doing that because it is in your best interest. It is not. It is not. So that's a crazy policy.
Oh man, there's so much happening now. Speaking on Trump, over the last since January, since he's been inaugurated, he's been constantly berating us and just attacking our way of life over here in Canada. Now, for 1 second, I just want you to separate yourself from politics real quick.
Yeah.
Who between the two would be the best to handle Trump in any way?
Myself.
But
what they're doing right now, I told them in the beginning of the campaign, I told Canadians, I said, we must reopen the free trade agreement with the U.S. and Mexico right now, not waiting until 2026. That is supposed to be the date where we will renew that free trade agreement.
Yes.
And now, a couple of days ago, Carney and Poilievre said that. In the beginning, no. He said we must reopen the free trade. I agree with them. But what they're saying also, they're saying we must protect the supply management system, the cartel in dairy, poultry, and milk. If they do that, we won't have a trade deal.
Yeah.
Trump was very honest, and he did tweet a couple of times on X about the fact that the dairy producers in the U.S. cannot export their milk. There's 300% tariffs, and he said it is not fair. And he's right about that. It is not fair for U.S., it is not fair for Canadian consumers. Mm-hmm. We are paying twice the price for these products if you compare that to prices in the U.S. It's time to abolish that. But if you don't do that, we won't have a trade deal. So the question is, are you ready to save the economy and having a trade deal and save all these jobs in Canada? And to have a trade deal, you need to put on the table the supply management system. Mm-hmm. We are the only country on this planet that is having a system like that. Mm-hmm. So it is time to stop that. But Poilievre and Carney, they are pandering to the dairy producers. Yeah. They are telling them we won't touch that. What they're doing, they're lying to them, because if they are serious with that, we won't be able to have a trade deal. Mm-hmm. So who is the best one to deal with Trump is somebody who is understanding him. And I understand him. He's putting U.S. first. He did a campaign by, we must be sure to repatriate all the manufacturing sector in the U.S. He's doing that for the U.S. economy, for the U.S. Consumers, and he's putting America first. Mm-hmm. I'm okay with that. I'm doing the same in Canada. I'm putting our country first.
Yes.
I'm putting Canadian first, and that's not a slogan. That's reality based on real policies. So we just need to understand what he's doing. By imposing tariffs, Trump is imposing tariffs on American consumers, mm-hmm. on American businesses. So he's not hurting us. He's hurting Americans. Yes. So we need to understand that. And for our businesses, yes, it may be more difficult to sell our products to the U.S. market. But to help our businesses, the best way to do that is to lower taxes for them to be competitive. They are not competitive right now. If we want to keep our businesses here in Canada, we need to do everything to balance the budget, cut taxes, personal and corporate tax, cut the capital gains tax, being sure that we'll have a more productive economy. Like that, our businesses will be more profitable. They will be more competitive in the U.S. market. So that's what we need to do. But our leaders right now, Poilievre and Carney, are not speaking about the real issues. Yes. They are not.
Where are you running from?
Both.
In
Quebec.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. What was the idea of switching? Because I remember you were running in Prairies.
Thank you for asking. Yeah, I was running in Portage-Lisgar in Manitoba in a by-election.
Oh, yes.
And now in the general election, I'm back in the riding that I was the MP for 13 years.
Oh, amazing.
And,
It should be easy for you this time.
we have a good team over there.
Yes.
It's going very well. And, I think that we can make history.
You're going to get a seat.
I think that we can make history. And yes, I'm doing everything to be in Parliament for sure. I want to be there. And it can be, and I hope it will be at this election.
Oh, man, that'd be great. I definitely
I'll
want
be
to see you.
the guy who will ask questions
Yes.
and speak about the truth in Parliament.
Oh, man. And then it'll spark a change in the future, because a two-party system in Canada is not, for me personally, is not good.
No.
It's not two-party system. We need a third voice. We need another a fresh idea. And I believe, that you are doing something good, and sparking a change amongst the Canadian mindset here. Now, how do you navigate your campaign without how can I explain alienating a group of Canadians? How do you navigate yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not pandering to any special interest or any, ethnicity. For me, you're Canadians. The color of your skin, your sexual orientation, or your religions, it is not important for me. You are here. You share our values. You are a Canadian. So when I'm doing politics, I believe that our policies are good for all Canadians. So I'm campaigning across the country. I was in Eastern Canada last week. This week I'm going to Western Canada. And I will be everywhere. We have good candidates, and my goal is to help them to be elected. And we don't try to have the support, for example, of the Canadian from Chinese origin.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We don't have anything special for them in our platform. We have we have something special for every Canadian. So what I'm telling to a person from Chinese origin,
Yes.
I'm telling the same thing to a francophone in Quebec.
Mm-hmm.
That's the People's Party. That's why we call our party the People's Party. Come to our country, share our values, be part of our country, and this country is there for you. But right now we need to stop that mass immigration, because we're not able to integrate all these people who came to our country the last 10 years.
And how do you reiterate this message without how can I explain to you for let's say the softer listeners, the people who are who need to be a little bit coddled, just a tad?
Yeah, I'll tell that. I was in I think it was in Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean,
Okay.
in Quebec, and I did an interview with a local journalist.
Mhm.
And the local journalist did ask me, what will will you do for people in this riding? What do you have in your platform to help people in this riding, Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean? I said to the journalist, I have nothing in my platform to help you people, only you. My platform is to help everybody, and you're part of this country. I don't want to tell you something and having a special, platform to pander to you or to pander to people in BC. Our platform is the same for everybody. If my platform is adopted in this country, that will be great for you and your people living in your riding, in this riding. Our policies are good. If you have more economic growth, that would be good for you. If we are lowering taxes for everybody. That would be good for you. For you, the people living in this riding, you have more of your own money in your own pockets. So that's our policies. There's no, we don't have a special policy for Quebec or a special policy for Alberta. That's why we can unite this country with our policies.
The Justin Trudeau, before he left, removed taxes on products, like in a way to pander to everybody. Do you think that was a great move in the long run?
A great what?
A
Sorry?
good move in the long run, like in terms of like fiscal, like could it bite us in the end, like in more inflation?
Inflation is always because of the money creation. Inflation is always because of a bad monetary policy.
Right.
And
Do you think the no taxes on like alcohol and produce for like 3 months, was that a good move?
But yeah, it is. But why only 3 months? I don't like taxes, but when you're doing that, you must be sure to have the money to do that. What he did, and what Carney and Poliev are telling us today, we will lower your taxes, but we will add that to the deficit. We will spend more money that we don't have. So these tax cuts, to be real and permanent, they must come from surplus. But now Poliev and Carney are not telling us where they will take their money. They don't tell us, when the budget will be balanced. Mm-hmm. It's important to know. For us, first, we will balance the budget.
Yes.
Second, we will have surplus, and all our surplus will go to tax cut. So, yes, but the best tax is always the consumption tax, because you, as an individual, can decide if you will pay tax or not. If you spend, you're paying taxes. If you don't spend, you don't pay taxes. So that's the best system. What we must do, we must lower the income tax, and the best system will be with no income tax and only consumption tax. Like that, wow. It will be easier for you to create wealth and growing your portfolio and being richer. But, to do that, we need to have a smaller government in Ottawa. It is not in our platform right now. Yeah. In our platform is to balance the budget, lower your income tax, and also at the same time abolishing the capital gains tax for you to be able to save and to keep that money to grow your wealth.
Yes. I also agree smaller government is the way. I grew up in Ottawa.
Yeah.
And everybody I know is in government.
Yeah.
Everybody I know is in government. It's like, what do you guys do?
Yeah, there's 10,000 people in one department in Ottawa, the Department of Health. And the federal government is not responsible of any hospital. They don't manage any hospital. We don't need them.
10,000 people. Wow.
10,000, we don't need them. These are the people who, when we had COVID-19 and the COVID hysteria, these people were telling the federal government and our politicians to impose, a vaccine passport and to not respect our rights and our constitution. We don't need them. So we will get rid of all these people by having a smaller government. Same thing in the immigration department. There's a lot of people who are working there. We need to have that moratorium, but we need also to start the deportation. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of illegals in this country. Mm-hmm. And so all these civil servants...
Do we have a rough number of illegals?
I want to tell you the number, but the government doesn't know it. The federal government is telling us it's about 25,000 to 500,000 of illegals in this country.
Now, let me ask you a question here. When you say illegal, do you mean students who came here and their student visa expired, or is it these people who across the unconventional borders?
Both. So what I'm telling you is people who came here on a temporary visa, like the fake students. We have a lot of them. They came here and not for studying, but to work here and to be a permanent resident. But what they have, it's a visa to study in Canada. And after, when they have their diploma, yes. They don't want to stay in Canada. They want to stay in Canada. They don't want to leave. But they don't have any permit. They're illegals at that time. Mm-hmm. And so usually when you come here and you study in Canada as an international student, you come here only to study and you leave the country to go back to your country of origin. But they don't want to do that. These people must be deported. Same thing for temporary foreign workers who are coming here on a temporary visa. But after that, you have to go back. Some of them don't want to go back.
And they
disappear. We need to deport them. So the federal government doesn't know how many people are illegals right now in our country. First, we must put all the resource at the federal government, the resources in the citizenship and immigration department to look at it. We must know the number. We must know who they are. We must know where are they, and after that we must deport them. It's crazy that now you have the conservative and the liberals who are telling them, the fake international students who want to stay in Canada, they are telling them it's okay. You don't respect our legislation. You don't want to go back to your country of origin. It's okay. We'll give you a nice gift. We'll give you the permanent residency. That's the proposal of the conservative and the liberal. What they are telling people around the globe, they are telling them,
Canada's soft.
Yeah, and if you want to come to Canada, just, come by the back door, say that you are a student here, and after that, you'll have your permanent residency. No, we need to stop that. And if they want to be an immigrant in Canada, they must apply in their country of origin at our embassy over there. Mm-hmm. And after that, having an interview, and we will decide if they can be a Canadian or not. It's a privilege to be a Canadian.
Absolutely.
So that's what we must do. But before doing that, let's have that moratorium and that deportation.
I agree with this. Now, so let's go back to like the mainstream topics here real quick. Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He says he wants to buy Canada.
Sorry?
He wants to buy Canada or force us economically.
That's not serious. I did read his book, The Art of a Deal. Mm-hmm. When you read that book,
I see.
What he's doing is he tries to discredit his opponents in a negotiation. That's what he's doing right now. And so by saying that, Governor Trudeau or 51st state or he's doing that just to be sure that, when we'll be at the negotiation table, we won't be sure. And then, no, it's the joke. It's a bad joke. And we must not take that seriously. This country is a sovereign country. And Trump, what he wants is to, like I said, all the manufacturing industry that left that country long time ago, he wants to repatriate that in the U.S. And it's fair for a U.S. president. It's fair. We just need to have a better and more productive economy. So imagine that 51st state. Canada, when Trump was elected, they did a survey in Canada, and they asked Canadians for which candidate they will vote, Trump or Harris. 65% of Canadians, they said that they will support Harris, the Democrat. So imagine Canada, 40 million people, like California.
It wouldn't work for him.
Yeah, Democrats.
Yeah.
That won't work. That will destroy the chance of the Republican Party to stay and be in power. He doesn't want that. He wants to have a new deal with us. He wants us to reinvest.
It looks like it. It sounds like it.
He wants us to reinvest in our own defense, and we must do that. He wants us to protect our borders. We must do that. He wants us to fight, the criminals, the drug traffickers.
Do we have a fentanyl problem? Like, from what I read and what I know, I don't think we have.
It is not as big as Trump is saying that.
Yes.
But yes, some of that is crossing our border, coming from China
through the BC ports?
To the BC port, and after that to the U.S. But, we need to do that for Canadians. The first role, the first responsibility of a government and a prime minister is to be sure that our citizens will be secure in our country. And now, because of Trump, we have the liberals who are doing that after 9 years. They did not secure our borders. Everybody was able to come here. Mm-hmm. That was not good for us. And they were doing nothing with the fentanyl in BC. Mm-hmm. And now, thank you, President Trump, because he put some pressure on the federal government. And now the federal government is working and the liberals are working in the best interest of us by fighting drugs traffickers. Why not doing that? Why didn't do that 10 years ago?
Yes.
It's crazy. But now at least they're working. We need to reinvest more. And if we do that, we'll be able to have a good deal with Trump.
In a Maxime Bernier's Canada, or People's Party's Canada, rather, are we still in NATO?
It's a good question. Yes, but I don't like what NATO is doing right now, like the war in Ukraine. They are pushing that. We are for peace. We were the only party saying to Canadians, it's not our war. We must not participate in that. And I'm very pleased with what President Trump is doing, try to have a peace deal with Ukraine and Russia, and I hope it will happen soon. But we need to look at the role of NATO. NATO was supposed to be a defensive organization for North America. Mm-hmm. It is not that anymore. It is an offensive organization, and I don't like that. So I'm questioning our role in NATO. If we are not in NATO, we need to have a new security agreement with the U.S.
Yes.
Because we need to do our part. We need to secure our own borders. We need to secure our own country. We are not investing in our own defense. We need to invest at least 2% of our GDP for our defense. We need to do that with the U.S. And maybe we can have a new deal with the U.S. about our defense and working together and not being part of NATO anymore. It's a question. Answering your question, I don't know. But I don't like the mandate of NATO now being an offensive organization instead of a defensive organization.
Interesting. That's a very good answer here. So you're running back in Quebec, which is great. I'm glad that you're going back to the roots.
Yes.
You haven't. So I remember it was. Correct me if I'm wrong. The last election, were you in the debates on TV?
The first one, the 2019 election,
2019, yes.
I was on the debate.
So what was the idea then? Like, how come they didn't invite you since?
Because they don't like what we are saying. The mainstream media, the conservative and liberals, they don't want us to be there. Because
but you were talking about the stopping of false immigration for the last 7 years, 8 years.
Yeah.
And now everybody's saying the same thing. Everybody's singing the same tone.
Yeah. I was right at that time. I'm even more right today about that. But it's a problem, but they don't have the solution. Polyev said it's okay to have 250,000 foreigners in our country every year, plus temporary foreign workers, plus international students, plus refugees. So what he's telling us, over the next 3 years, he will have more than 1.5 million foreigners coming to our country. This is mass immigration. He's not fighting mass immigration.
It's unsustainable right now.
Sorry?
It's unsustainable right now.
It is unsustainable. You're right. But so they don't want us to debate them because I think that, we have the right arguments. We are speaking on facts and with reason about what is happening in this country. So they created a commission called the Leaders Debate Commissions. And the role of that commission is to exclude us because they said at the last election, Bernier, you cannot participate because at the previous election, so at 2021, I wanted to participate in the national debates because I was there in 2019. Mm-hmm. So they said, we have a new rule for you. We have a new criteria for you. You must have 4% of the vote at the previous election. So in 2021, the previous election was 2019. We had 1.6% of the vote. So you cannot participate. And after that, this year, in 2025, that rule, 4% at the previous elections. In 2021, we had 5%.
Interesting.
So I had a meeting with these people I was supposed to have a meeting with these people of the Leaders Debate Commission to have a discussion about the format of the debates for this election. And I told them, I will participate. They said, yes, you had more than 4% at the previous election. You'll be part of that. But a couple of weeks ago, they changed their criteria again.
To what?
you need to be at 4% in the polls, in an average of the polls, 28 days before the election. They're telling me, we are growing in the polls. That is in the beginning of the election. At the end of that election, we may be at 6, 7, 8, 10%, I don't know. But 28 days before the election, they said you need to have 4% on average in the polls. So they can take a poll that will give us 1% and a fake polls, and our average will go down. So they are doing everything to exclude us from the debates. The question is, who's at the board of that organization? Who's managing that organization? On the board of that, there's former Conservative MPs. So they're working with
your former colleagues.
Former Conservative elected MPs, and they're not in Parliament anymore. Okay. But they are working with Poilievre, and Poilievre doesn't want us because I will show to everybody that he's not a real conservative. With our policies, I will challenge him on immigration, on the war in Ukraine, on the tariffs, that is okay to impose more taxes on us, on the fact that he's not balancing the budget, on everything. I will show to everybody that he's not a conservative. He does not want that. So they're doing everything with a fake process to eliminate the People's Party.
Pierre, I've sent you numerous emails. Jagmeet as well. Mark Carney, I've sent you emails as well. You guys need to come and sit down with people who are doing grassroots things. Sitting and going, on tours around the country and talking in front of workers is not enough. You need to sit down with people who are doing things like I am and share your views, because Maxime Bernier is burning you guys and he is working hard. Now, what is your prediction?
But about what you just said about Pierre, he cannot do podcasts. Why? Because he's speaking with slogan and
yes.
5-second clip on TV.
Yes.
Fix the budget. Oh, he's going to tell you, I will fix the budget. Okay, the next question is, how? I may balance the budget in 3 years, or I don't know, maybe 2, maybe on a mandate. Okay, but Bernie is able to do that in 1 year. He is able to cut $60 billion. You're not able to do that in 1 year? Why? Okay, you'll balance the budget. Which cuts? What are you going to cut? You said that you will cut foreign aid, but are you cutting 100% of foreign aid? There's $10 billion there. Bernier said that he will cut $10 billion there. He knows that it's popular to say that I will cut foreign aid, but which amount? We don't know. And he won't cut $10 billion there. So he cannot have a conversation like that because he doesn't have any platform. Yeah. He doesn't want to speak about that. Because if he's saying, I will cut that and that and that, he may not please some Canadians. Yeah. And he's pandering to everybody. Mm-hmm. And he's telling you what you want to hear. Yeah. And maybe somebody in Northern Alberta won't like, or Northern BC, what he's saying about the cuts and things like that. So that's why he's pandering to every ethnicity about immigration. I will cut the family reunification program. It's not a real family. It's the big family. They're coming here and they want to have their uncle, their
So you mean immediate family?
Immediate. Husband, wife, kids. That's it. But now it's not that. The definition of family for the government and for the Liberals and Poilievre, it's the big family, grandmom, granddad, uncles, the big family. No, when you decide to immigrate to a new country, you must leave behind your family. It's a tough decision, and if you want to have your uncle and your aunt and granddad with you, stay in your country. Mm-hmm. Stay in your country of origin.
Or have them apply their own way.
Yeah. Or they can come as economic immigrants, but they won't qualify. So that's why they created that new, door for big family to come and, the entire family. But no, if you want them, stay in your country of origin. But Poilievre won't be able to do that. When I'm saying, a moratorium, No, he want 250, and he want to tender to these communities who are here, and they want to have their extended family with them. That's why he won't do that.
So will you attend synagogues? Will you attend temples?
No, I'm not. Religion and politics must be separated.
Understood.
And I'm a Christian. I'm a Catholic. I'm not doing politics in a church. I won't. I'm not doing politics in a synagogue. I'm not doing politics in a temple. I won't wear a costume to please you. No. But Polyev and Carney, Polyev is like Trudeau on that. Go on his Twitter account. Every weekend he has a new costume, and he's no, I'm not doing that. And actually, I was in Montreal and with the Jewish community, and they wanted me to deliver a speech at their synagogue. I said no, I won't do that. I won't be there. So that's
separate church and state.
Yeah, that's the way you must do politics. I'm not appealing to you because you're a Christian. I'm not appealing to you because you're a Jewish. I want to appeal to you because you're a Canadian. That's it.
Yes, sir. Well, how do you tell? So online, and I'm sure you don't control this. Online, I see a lot. I see a lot of posts. When you post, I see a lot of anti-religious. I'm not going to say which religion, but anti-religious sentiments against particular religions. What do you say to people who say a vote for PPC is a vote for let's say
Muslim,
yes, whatever.
They said that in 2019. They said that we were a racist party because we wanted fewer immigrants at that time. We were right. The federal government did not listen. And now we have that mass immigration, and we need to have that moratorium. So they're throwing name at us. They don't want to have a discussion about our ideas. That's what they're doing. And when, like I told you, it's not true. I'm there for every Canadian. For me, your religion is not important.
Yes, sir.
That's your private life. It's not important for me.
But what's your message to the people who are actively, because right now we live in a world where it's very polarized online. It's comments and things like this nature. What do you say to people who are voting for you, who are openly anti, let's say Jewish or openly anti-Buddhist? What do you say to these people? I
said to them, I don't want your support because you're not in line with the values of this political party. That's not us. Read our platform. So you can. I hope that you share our ideas and vote for us because you share our ideas. That's it. And I will ask people, go on our website and read our platform, peoplespartyofcanada.ca. You'll see it's all about a new society, a peaceful revolution in this country, a populist revolution, to be sure that our politicians in Ottawa, our elites in Ottawa will work for you. So read it. If you like it, I hope you'll support us. If not, just don't vote for us. That's it.
That's amazing. Thank you very much for that answer there. What else? There's a couple things I want to before we go here. Housing. Do you have a plan for housing?
Yeah, the plan is to stop mass immigration first. The plan is to have a zero inflation target for the Bank of Canada. The Bank of Canada won't be able to create money out of thin air. That will stop the inflation. But before doing that, we need to balance the budget. Like I told you, we can do that in 1 year. And also, fewer regulations at the federal level. What Polyev is saying about housing, the real solution is to cut mass immigration, supply and demand.
Right.
Statistic Canada said we need to build 700,000 new houses a year just to meet the demand. And last year we built only 250,000 houses. So we weren't able to build houses as fast as people are coming to our country. So let's work on the demand and having that moratorium. But Polyev, what he said, He wants to build more houses. By doing that, he wants to interfere in provincial jurisdictions by telling your mayor in Toronto or Montreal what to do. He wants to change the local zoning for housing. That's a provincial and municipal jurisdictions. Don't do that. Don't interfere in provincial jurisdictions. People in Toronto or Montreal, if they want to have more houses built in Montreal, they will fight at the municipal level. They will have somebody that would be elected sharing their point of view or not. So that debate must be at the municipal level.
Yes.
Poilievre is saying to all these municipalities across the country, I know better than your mayor. I know better than you. You must change your zoning to be able to have big towers that will have more people. That is not a Canadian dream. The Canadian dream is to have your house with a backyard when you can have your children and they can play.
Yes.
So that's not living in a big tower like in Hong Kong. Yeah, that's not that. But for Poilievre, that is a solution. We need to build that near metro station, near, that's not our country.
No.
So let's stop that, and that will solve the problem. The mass immigration, ending that will solve the problem. Plus, like I said, no more inflation by the Bank of Canada, zero inflation target.
Amazing. Okay, well, this is a new episode of Explain That. Maxime Bernier is back again with us. Thank you so much for coming.
I want to thank you very much for giving me that opportunity to speak to your viewers. And maybe my last word for your viewers is, before voting, go and read the platform of your political party. And if you don't know the People's Party, go and read our platform. But the most important, be part of the change. Go and vote. That is, that is important. So if you want changes in this country, participate, express your point of view. We are in the democracy. Go out and vote. And I hope that you will vote for the People's Party and our candidates across the country. Thank you for...
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah.
This is Black Mob with Crux Canada. This is Explain That, and having conversations with people you can't talk to and saying things you can't say. Thank you for watching, and have a great day, guys.
Music is... There's a couple of emotions. Yeah. Food creates emotion because when you're hungry, you want the food that you want. Friends create an emotion because when you go and you hang out with your friends and you go and have a good time with your friends. And especially if they're your old friends, so they have history on you for time. But music, why do you think all these older people sit there and still listen to 70s classic rock? Because they remember where they were on that moment when that song was playing. And they remember, because I remember the first time I ever heard Who Shot Ya from Biggie Smalls. Cheers.
On that track.
Yeah, is that audio fucking good on that? We'll fucking wing it. We're gonna wing it.